How are case studies in IHL used to illustrate violations of humanitarian law? Recent events have brought international humanitarian law into the spotlight. Many people are asking how case studies illustrate violations of humanitarian law. This topic is timely and relevant, especially with ongoing conflicts around the world. Understanding these violations is essential for protecting human rights during warfare. Case studies in international humanitarian law provide concrete examples of how actions in armed conflicts breach the Geneva Conventions and the laws of armed conflict. By examining real incidents, these studies offer detailed evidence of violations. They clarify how legal norms apply in complex situations. One notable case is Ukraine and the Netherlands against Russia, recently addressed by the European Court of Human Rights. This case highlights numerous humanitarian law violations during the ongoing conflict in Ukraine since 2014. The court found Russia responsible for widespread abuses, including indiscriminate military attacks and summary executions. The court also cited torture, unlawful detentions, and intimidation of journalists as violations. Additionally, the forced removal of children and destruction of private property were significant concerns. The downing of Malaysia Airlines flight MH17, resulting in many fatalities, further exemplified these violations. This case study shows how violations of the right to life and protections for civilians are handled under international humanitarian law. It demonstrates how international courts apply the Geneva Conventions to hold states accountable for breaches. Another example involves attacks on nuclear facilities, particularly those related to Iran. Legal scholars argue that these strikes violate treaty obligations and principles of international humanitarian law. Such incidents emphasize the need for rules protecting civilian populations and the environment during warfare. These case studies illustrate prohibited conduct during armed conflicts, such as torture and forced displacement. They also clarify the legal responsibilities of states and armed groups under the Geneva Conventions. The mechanisms for accountability through international courts and tribunals are highlighted as well. Through these examples, we see how international humanitarian law is applied and enforced. They help identify violations and support efforts to protect vulnerable populations during conflict. Understanding these real-world applications is essential for anyone interested in the protection of human rights in times of war.